I'm pretty late to this party, but I am finally making my top 10 action figures of 2023 video. I've been working on all my top 10 videos. The last one I have after this to film is my top 10 sixth scales. I don't really know what order they're releasing in. But yeah, I'm finally pumping out my top 10s, and these are the action figures. Now, I did switch things up a little bit this year, because I originally had top 10 robots and then action figures, but I decided to make the robot list just Transformers, because Transformers had such a strong year for me, and action figures that were released in 2023 kinda didn't, so I was able to just move a few Gundams into this list instead. So there are some robots in this list, and I think it's going to be like this moving forward. I'm going to keep Gundams into the top 10 of 2023 when it comes to action figures, and just leave Transformers as its own list. But what we're looking at here is the Joy Toy Warhammer blue guy. Ultramarine, I think, space, I don't know, it's the cool guy from Warhammer. I don't really know Warhammer. If you want to post in the comments, oh, you should really check out the lore, it's really cool. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. I just thought this was a very cool looking figure. I've been very curious about Joy Toy products for a while, and I picked it up, and I think it's pretty cool. Definitely, like, very close to top 10 worthy, but not quite there. So I just want to show it as an honorable mention. I was actually going to show it off in a video, but the file got corrupted and the video got deleted. And it was a first impressions video, and I felt like it would be pretty inauthentic for me to make that again. So no video on him, sadly. But it's a pretty fun figure. A lot of people have been asking me to check these out, so I went ahead and did. But anyways, this top 10 is going to be very, very different from a lot of people's lists, because a lot of people just focus in on like 6-inch action figures and, you know, a lot of independent stuff, and I'm not really that guy. My interests are like vintage collection, Batman, Gunpla, so there's not a lot of things that you might typically see in other lists. My list is very unique from a lot of the rest, but there are a few figures on here that are pretty similar to a lot of other people's lists. So let's move the honorable mention out of the way. Number 10 goes to Vintage Collection Deluxe Paz-Vizsla. I'm keeping him in this pose because I like hang him against my wall, and I have him very nicely balanced with like a push pin, and I really don't want to unpose him and ruin that, so I'm gonna have to like lean him against the next one. But I love this Deluxe Paz-Vizsla. It is such a cool figure. I love Paz-Vizsla. He has my favorite Mandalorian armor design out of any Mandalorian character, including Boba and Jango Fett. I have the Hot Toys of him. So the fact that I finally have a vintage collection one, and my 3 3/4 inch collection is very happy for me. I really do not collect Black Series, so there's pretty much no Black Series on this list. I know a lot of people are like, oh man, why don't you have Black Series, blah, blah, blah. I don't collect it. And same with G.I. Joe Classified. I did not get any Classifieds that were released in 2023. I only get some of my favorite characters, and they just didn't make any favorites of mine in 2023. So, yeah, you know, I might end up with some Classifieds for my 2024 list. But for the most part, I'm not a very big 6-inch action figure collector. So number 9 is the Black Series Scorch. So I don't collect Black Series, as we all know, say it with me, except for the Clone Troopers. And it's kind of funny that this mold yet again makes a feature in my top 10s. But let me tell you, man, this Scorch, when I got it, it made my soul so happy. This is by far my favorite version of the mold. It might actually be, dare I say, my single favorite Black Series Clone Trooper figure, which by extension would make it my favorite Black Series figure. It very well might be. I love this Scorch. It's my favorite version of the Republic Commando mold, and I definitely had to put it on the list. It is lower on the list because it is a repaint that I already have like 5 times over. I did get the white one this year too, and it's really cool, but Scorch was the highlight for me. Absolutely. Next up on the list, this is where Gunpla starts to creep in. I absolutely loved all of the offerings from the Witch from Mercury line that I built in 2023. But my absolute favorite has to be the Lefrith-Ur. I love the Lefrith-Ur. It is such a cool Gundam design to me. I love the colors. I love how it has a big old minigun. I love its chonk. I love the big old jawline on the robot head. The mecha head. I love the Witch for Mercury, and I loved the Lefrith-Ur both in the show and as a model kit. So I definitely had to feature this one. I built a lot of other Witch from Mercury kits, but this was by far my favorite. And this is not the last time we will be seeing Gundam on this list, believe me. I definitely built a few Gunpla this year that made me very, very happy. Next up, I'm kind of surprised this one is so low, but we just had such a solid year. And this is where I have to start raising the camera, because the figures are going to get a little bit bigger, just a little bit. Next up, we have... Here, let me scoot these guys over, because Paz Vizsla is going to have to make sure he is constantly leaning. Next up, we have the McFarlane Nightfall Batman. I think this is one of the best Batman figures ever made. I think McFarlane absolutely knocked it out of the park. Really, when I see this, I'm really reminded of the Arkham City, like 1970s Batman skin, because the design is very similar. Not exact, but very similar. I love the bright blue and brighter gray bat suit. I love the yellow belt and the nice bat symbol. McFarlane always nails the bat symbol. And I think the articulation on this one's really nice. I love the sculpt. The head sculpt is probably one of my favorite Batman head sculpts we've ever gotten. And I really want to see this mold used about 1,000 more times. We haven't really seen it reused much yet, but I really want to see this reused. It is one of my favorite Batman molds. Surprisingly, not my favorite Batman toy of the year, but definitely up there. So happy with this Nightfall Batman. I am getting Nightfall Nightwing as well. I'm kind of collecting a lot of the Nightfall McFarlane stuff. I didn't get Catwoman, though. I should probably do that before it's too late. It might already be too late. I don't know. Anyways, next up, definitely Nightfall Batman. Absolutely loved that figure. And I think we are breaking into the top 5. Are we already? 10, 9, 8, 7, wait, 6, 5. No, we're close to the top 5. And this one has been a lot of people's number 1. And this is one that I think is on pretty much every action figure collector's list. And it's very awesome. And it's superseded a lot of these other figures that made me very happy, just because it is simply that awesome. Some of you may know it. It is the Marvel Legends Target exclusive Black Widow. I bought this because I just wanted to check in on Marvel Legends. I wanted to see how they were doing, because I don't really get a lot of Marvel Legends nowadays, and I've actually cut my Legends collection down significantly. But this Black Widow, she is definitely all of the hype that people have said about her. Absolutely. This is definitely Hasbro's most fun female action figure they've ever made. Just as I feel like the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man was my top Marvel Legend, actually my top action figure of last year, and it was just one of the most fun action figures ever made. This figure feels very similar. And one thing I do want to address, it always infuriated me every time I went back and rewatched my top 10 of 2022, that the Renew Your Vows Spidey was just never in focus. He just was never in focus, and I couldn't realize it at the time. And when I looked back, I'm like, oh no, why was it not in focus? But I'm double checking right now. Black Widow is in focus, and she is just simply amazing. Definitely, if you are an action figure fan, I think you owe it to yourself to pick this one up, for sure. If you have like a very small Avengers collection like I do, get yourself this Black Widow. It's well worth it. All right, and with that, we are now breaking into the top 5. We now finally are. And this one definitely made my soul very happy when it was initially revealed. And when I got it, I was equally as excited. And I'm very excited to see the future of this line. Next up, I need to lower it just a little bit. Next up is the high-grade Rose Gundam. So G Gundam is one of my absolute favorite Gundam shows. I grew up with a lot of the G Gundam MSIA figures, and G Gundam was one of the first shows I started to watch when I really started to delve into the franchise itself. And my brother had both action figures of Rose Gundam, both the normal MSIA and the Battle Scarred. So I was very nostalgic over Rose Gundam. You know, I had a toy of it growing up. You know, my brother and I did. So now having this 1/144 scale Rose Gundam to go with my 1/144 collection just was so great, so fantastic. And as of the filming of this video, literally just yesterday in the mail, I got the high-grade Gundam Maxter. So look forward to that probably being on the top 10 of 2024. And I really hope they give us Bolt. I hope they give us Dragon. I hope they give us Shadow, too. I would love to see more G Gundam kits. I think they're absolutely fantastic, except for the fact that they're Premium Bandai exclusive. But hey, they have made Premium Bandai exclusives so much more available over the past couple years. Like, if you wanted this thing, you've had several opportunities, and you'll probably have more opportunities to come. Just keep an eye on P Bandai's website. You will be able to get it. Alrighty, so there is number 5. Had to be Rose Gundam. It just made my soul way too happy when it was revealed. But that's actually not the last Gundam we will see on this list. Actually, believe it or not. Next up, this is my top Star Wars toy of 2023. Absolutely adore it. It is just a remold, a repaint remold of one that already came out, but I cannot get enough of Vintage Collection, not Paz Vizsla, but pre-Vizsla. Of course, Paz Vizsla is also on this list, but his maybe uncle, I don't know, pre-Vizsla is such an awesome figure. This thing I've been nonstop playing with ever since I got it. It stayed by the desk. It is definitely my favorite Mandalorian action figure. I think I like it more than Deluxe Boba Fett. I'm very much looking forward to the Deluxe Jango Fett coming out. I wish they would have made it the full deluxe price point and included both jetpacks and a poncho, but hey, that's just me trying to make sense. I really love this pre-Vizsla. I cannot get enough of it. It is such a fun figure. This is definitely one of the most fun Vintage Collection figures. Oop, there goes Rose. Rip. It's kind of crazy, too, that this pre-Vizsla is significantly better than the Black Series version. Because the Black Series one is just a very cheap, very, very cheap, like, retool remold of the Mandalorian mold. It was also a very cheap retool remold of the Jango Fett mold. It came out, what, like 2015? So yeah, pretty dated. 2015 was not known for having the best Black Series figures. That is for sure. So the fact that the Vintage Collection pre-Vizsla blows the 6-inch one out of the water kind of gives it bonus points for me. Kind of justifies my stronghold over my very strong hold over remaining a Vintage Collection collector and not going for Black Series. So definitely pre-Vizsla is worthy of being on the list. All right. Let's raise the camera back up. This next figure is a representative from a box set. Pretty much the entire box set takes the number 3 spot, but this one figure is probably my favorite out of it because I just love this suit and I just am very happy that we got a modern action figure of it. It goes to the Cinematic Batman Multi-Pack from McFarlane Toys. The one that came with, oh my goodness, rip. This is the multi-pack that came with Michael Keaton, that came with Val Kilmer here, George Clooney, that we now have the whole wave for. We got Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson. It was so awesome to see every single cinematic Batman actor in one box set. Some people may say, why wasn't Adam West in there? The 1966 Batman movie wasn't very cinematic, now was it? It was just a movie for a TV show. Like, you could count it, but it wasn't like a cinematic Batman. You know, it was a TV Batman that they just made a TV movie for. Anyways, I loved this set. When I got it, I was showing my family, like, look at all the Batmans, and they used this suit, they used Val Kilmer's Sonar suit. I would love to see a second set, and I genuinely would. I would love to see a second multi-pack with variations of the suits, because they could do Batman Returns for Michael Keaton. They could do the normal, I think, Panther suit for Val Kilmer. They could do the anti-freeze suit for George Clooney. They could do a different, the Batman Begins Christian Bale suit. Ben Affleck had several different suits they could pick from. They just released the BVS one. They could do like an armored one because they haven't made that yet. Robert Pattinson doesn't really have a different suit yet, but hey, if you want to, throw in Adam West. Just fill out the roster or just wait for the next movie to come out where Robert Pattinson will probably have a different suit. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But I loved getting this set. It was so awesome. As a Batman action figure collector, I felt like I owed it to myself to get that set, and I'm so happy I did. Sure, it had a few duplicates because I already had like Christian Bale Batman and Robert Pattinson, and I ended up having to get George Clooney again to build the Mr. Freeze, but it ain't that big of a deal because I'll display those separately. And I'll have all the Batmans together, looking gorgeous, looking amazing. And you got a bat signal with it that lights up with interchangeable symbols for each of the Batmans. And the value was there. It was such a good set. And I feel like it represents the peak and the pinnacle of what a multi-pack should be. Because Hasbro, they're like, 5 6-inch action figures? This multi-pack should be $130. Let's add an extra $5 to it just because. They do that all the time. But McFarlane was like, hey, we have 6 figures here? Let's make it like the price of 6 figures, but also include a bat signal. It's great. It's so great. I think I've rambled on long enough about it. Let's get to the top 2. I'm very proud to say number 2 goes to another Gunpla kit. And this one, you may already have guessed it if you are into Gundam, real grade Gundam Epyon. And yes, this is a fully articulated whip that is currently totally in your face. So, I have quite the attachment to Gundam Epyon here, because when I was a kid, I both had the SD Gundam Force action figure of Gundam Epyon, plus a VHS titled Enter Epyon, and I just thought Epyon was super cool. I mean, the VHS bored me to tears, because Gundam Wing is a super boring show that goes nowhere until the very end, but Gundam Epyon is sweet. I also ended up getting the 1144 no-grade Gundam Epyon as a kid, and that thing was trash, because the entire white of the face was a sticker, and it was missing so much detail. But now, we have a fully transformable 1144 real grade of Gundam Epyon with an articulated whip, a hose for the sword, a cool, wing feature, where, the wing flares out when you move it out. It's so amazing. It's kind of like the MG Verka Wing Zero Custom, but, scaled down into a real grade and flavored in Gundam Epyon colors. That's kind of what it is, and I'm totally here for it. I'm so happy after all these years we got Gundam Epyon in our 1144 collections. And I think making it a real grade was the absolute perfect choice, because I feel like a lot of the details and functionality of Gundam Epyon would be wasted with a high grade. So I'm very happy with this. Definitely worthy of being number 2. But number 1, this is number 1 on a lot of other people's lists, because a lot of other people had to wait just as long as I did for Mezco Mr. Freeze. This guy. Oh, this guy. I had to wait forever to get this guy. I love Mr. Freeze. He is my absolute all-time favorite comic book character. He is my favorite villain from any media. Mr. Freeze is my boy. And when Mezco 1/12 started, all the way back in the day, when they unveiled their very first figures of, what was it? Dark Knight Returns Batman and, Judge Dredd, stuff like that. When they started all the way back then, I told myself one of the only Mezco 1/12s I would ever get, they would ever get me to get, would be if they made Mr. Freeze. And ages ago, I think at the start of 2020, they revealed it. No, in 2019, I think they revealed it. In 2020, I think the pre-order went up. And it got delayed and delayed and delayed. COVID-19, Mezco being lazy, Mezco thinking people wanted Gomez instead. I don't know, but the amount of days, I think it was over, I did the math, it was 1,000 something days is how much I had to wait for this guy ever since I hit the pre-order button. It was ludicrous. I've never had to wait so long for an action figure, but the wait was worth it, because this Mr. Freeze kicks so much ass. It's not the most posable action figure, it's not the most fun. Out of all the figures you see here, that would probably go to Black Widow. But for me, I just am so happy to have this. As a huge Mr. Freeze fan, I adore this design. I adore the look. I adore the multimedia of what's going on the figure, like the flocking and the fabric and the plastics and the lights. It's such a gorgeous figure. I love how we have 2 characters pointing as well right now, Freeze and Rose Gundam. I absolutely love it. Definitely had to be my top 10, my top action figure of the year out of the top 10, and I'm very happy that it was. So we have a pretty healthy spread. We have 3 Star Wars figures, we have 3 Batman figures, we have 3 Gundams, and to fill out the last slot, we have a Marvel Legend. So overall, I would say that is pretty proportionate to where a lot of my money went when it came to action figures outside of Transformers. I've been getting a lot more into Batman lately. I've been, still going strong with getting Gunpla. I still keep up with the vintage collection stuff I want and Black Series clones. And I dabble with other stuff here and there, like Marvel Legends every once in a while. A few figures that I was thinking about on the list that didn't make it. I was thinking about Marvel Legends of Magneto. A lot of people are ragging on that thing, but I think it was pretty cool. I got that one for free. I got the Transformers like troop builder, and it was like, oh, spend over an X amount of money on toys, save $20 or like $25. No, it was like spend $100, save $25, and I got that and the Magneto, and it pretty much ended up the Magneto was free. So I was like, hey, I'll take it. I overall had a pretty fun year getting new action figures. But like I said in the beginning, my tastes are very different from a lot of other people. I don't have any Mythic Legions on this list. I don't have any G.I. Joe Classified, which I'm sure is blasphemy for some people. But hey, I've got like my short list of my favorite Joe characters, and they were pretty fast with pretty much nailing almost all of those on my short list. I might get Techno Viper and Night Creeper this year. I might. I don't know. If they make a wide scope, I'll get him. Maybe. I don't know. I'm very picky with my G.I. Joe Classified. Very, very picky. They already made my top boy Kamakura, so it's pretty hard to top that. I love collecting action figures, but I really enjoy the diversity of action figure collecting. Some lists are like full of SH Figure Arts and anime figures and things like that, and that ain't me. I don't really go for a lot of anime stuff. I might get a JoJo figure every once in a while, but I'm not into DBZ or Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's a new one people are into. Like, it's just not me. I'm not into My Hero Academia, things like that. So I don't buy those figures. Simple as that. So let me know down in the comments what your top 10 action figures were of 2023. I am very happy with my list, but I really want to know yours. Is there anything on my list you're like, why the hell is that on your list? Let me know why. And I'll just say it's my opinion, ? But I really want to see your list. Seriously. Post them down below if you want to make a video of your top 10, or if you already have because I'm so late to the game. You can post a link to your video. I'll need to manually approve it, but I'll manually approve it. You know, I would love to see your lists. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Special shout out to channel members as always. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Have a good one, guys. And the last one I have to film is the one that always scares me, because I have to get thousands of dollars of action figures on my desk, and that is the top 10 1/6 scales of the year. Oh boy, I always dread filming that one, but I always love seeing it. Alrighty guys, have a great one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.